The countdown is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Never settle for less, never settle for best. Settle for best ever, then you beat your chest. Always get what you want, always end up in front. Always sharpen your blade, never let it get blunt. Don't stop, don't sleep, and don't retreat. Don't turn your back on the receiver either.
Inside the FPL.
Never settle for
I'm
less,
your
never settle
host,
for
Terrence
best.
TX.
Settle for
And
best
with
ever,
me,
then
as
you beat
always,
your
is
chest.
Nigel the Hawk Martinez,
Oh!
Darren Dime Shavitz, and of course, the one and only J Jigga Jay-Z Zimna. We're here to bring you all of the festivities of the previous Sunday, and we hope that you enjoy it just as much as we enjoyed playing out there with you guys. Take it away, Jay-Z. What were your thoughts, initial thoughts on the game this past Sunday?
I'm going to be real honest with the three of you and with the rest of the league, whoever's watching. I woke up at around, got out of bed around 8:15, and I looked out my window, and I saw the snow coming down pretty heavy. And I took a look over outside the window, and I saw snow all over the ground. And I'm thinking to myself, I really hope Darren pulls that 47-year-old card again, like he did a few weeks ago, and just said, I'm not feeling it today, guys. My creaky bones just won't allow me to have it. And I was thinking the same way. I'm like, with a gimpy back, do I really want to be out there? But I'll tell you this, I made my way out there. And 16 other participants made their way out there. There wasn't one cancellation. And even though Darren was running a little late and he was still the first one there, we all managed to get there pretty much on time and had a great contest, which you'll hear more about in just a second.
I'll just say, add to that, when Jay sent me a text, I go, I don't know if I'm going to show up. And I'm like, what? First of all, I canceled the game. It was a crappy, windy, awful day, and we had barely 12 people. I didn't even think we were going to get 12 people. I think we weren't going to make the numbers. Here we had a full game. No way I'm going to cancel a little fluffy, nice snow. Getting to that pristine field first there, moving my little cart slowly across that terrain was beautiful. That day was perfect. It's the way football is meant to be played, not like they played the big boys later that game in like a dome, 80-degree weather. This is what football's about. It was beautiful.
Nigel, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Nigel?
I was saying shout out to the committed FDL members for showing up. Everyone, all of us. It's a sign of how great this league is that people will show up despite the weather and the elements that took place on Sunday.
Yeah, and I'm also, a little surprised by the commitment for those not necessarily affected by the elements, but affected by their previous night's activities. You could smell alcohol coming out of every pore of Avraham. The poor guy shows up, hungover. He threw up at 9:00 that morning and still made it with his buddy Ben. So that's commitment. That's dedication.
Yes.
Not only that, he came to the field like he was at the drunk bar, like getting in a fight with Lewis. I mean, later on in the day.
We'll get into that. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, maybe
that's something to do with it.
Part of the hungover feeling.
Well, from my understanding, gentlemen, there was very little argument about the teams this week. Would you agree with that, gentlemen? Pre-game, there was no pre-game discussion about trades or anything.
We had one little issue.
There was a slight discussion I saw.
Yeah, we had to have it. We had to have a discussion only because Fred and I discussed a couple of different lineup permutations. Mine ended up winning out, and I'll maybe go into a little bit about why. There was a trade made pre-game that no one knows about except for Darren at this point, where we actually swapped Darren for Nigel with regard to the teams that were made the night before. Upon getting to the field, Darren tells me that Ray had RSVP'd very late, and Darren had said, we'll promise to try to get you in, but I can't guarantee it. But given that he is the FDL commish that we know and love him to be,
Tend to go my way.
So,
he did find a way for Ray to make it in, but I was having trouble deciding which team should get not only the extra player, but a good extra player. Ray has been no slouch. He's the front runner for Rookie of the Year as far as I'm concerned. He always brings a good attitude. He plays the line with vigor and passion. He's got great hands.
He's got great hands.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Let's pause for station identification.
He's coachable. He listens in the huddle. He's never a problem. So is it a plus to have the bonus guy when he's as good as Ray? Or is it a negative to have the extra guy that you've got to rotate? So it ultimately ended up being Ray on the Darren squad. And we had 8 on the Nigel squad. So it was 9 versus 8. And Darren also benevolently agreed to a larger game than we're all typically comfortable with. And we decided to go 8 on 8 in the snow with 4 linemen, 3 eligible receivers, and of course the quarterback. And I'll let you guys describe what happened from there. But I was pretty impressed with how we quickly kind of made up for the extra man and how it kind of worked out as far as the rosters were concerned. There weren't a lot of fights.
No.
Yeah, one of the things I tried to do is play with the deflated ball, which Lewis quickly discovered and made a whole big issue about, and then told Darren like a teacher pet, like, look what he's trying to do. To me, the ball was easier to squeeze.
To me, the ball was easier to squeeze.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Let's pause for station identification.
In the conditions that we were in, and easier to throw, obviously. So that quickly got.
I didn't know we had our own version of Deflategate. I like this.
Yeah.
I guess Lewis said something, I didn't even hear it, but then he like, when it was our turn to go on offense, I was like, what the hell is this ball, dude? It's like all squishy and like, I think you got to play with the real deal. I mean, at this point, we've been doing that for a long time now. Now, I will say that especially later on the game, when the snow became icy and it like kind of stuck to the ball, it became very difficult to throw, to catch. And the offense, I think this was another very defensive minded game, low score. And I think a big part of that was what ended up being the conditions, not just the ball being slippery, but also the field, like it was a little bit treacherous to cut and make moves. And sometimes that benefits the offense because, the defense is the one that ends up not knowing where they're going and everything. But I think in general, the bigger game, you have that 4-4, you can drop the linemen. Although I don't know, we didn't do it much. I don't know. Did you guys? We
did.
Yeah, you guys. You dropped a lot, Jay. You dropped a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think so that had something to do with it too, and just not great quarterbacking on, generally speaking. I
agree.
So.
And just to sort of piggyback off of that comment, Darren, now that you brought up the point about the 4 linemen, I brought it to your attention last week about sort of having the quarterback run once per down to sort of counter the extra linemen, being able to drop. So I would like for you to elaborate on that a little bit more. And will we see that change later on, perhaps?
T, when you become commissioner, we might. No, I will.
We need that sound effect, Nigel.
I will say that this has long been a unique feature of the league, the no QB run, and maybe it's a tradition because a lot of the quarterbacks aren't mobile. But I think it's also, whenever I've been in a game where the QB is allowed to run, it just becomes too much of that. Like, like I like the fact the QB has to throw the ball, right? And you have to make a play. Now, your suggestion is once per 4 downs, which does, make it somewhat interesting. I'm willing to kind of maybe consider it, but I just, again, I don't know. I mean, we could try it one week. I'm all for trying it, but to me, it's also another thing we're going to argue about. Did the QB run this 4 drives, or it's bad enough trying to keep track of whether we blitzed or not? It's just another thing that we're going to fight about. I feel like all these, whenever we have discussions about doing 8-8 or doing a QB run or anything new, I'm always like, this is working, dude. We've done this for 20 years. It's a beautiful game. We're trying to incorporate maybe some things to accommodate, bigger crowds, but most of the weeks we're not going to get these anyway. So I'm for keeping it status quo. But 1 week, if we want to try something like, again, when we have the big game, quarterback runs are allowed in the big game, those 10, 10, 11, 11s. And hopefully 1 week we'll get a 20 plus RSVP and we can play a big game. So
I'm gonna weigh in on this just for a second.
Please do.
Only because, look, I haven't been around all 20 years like Darren has. And I think the two of you, Nigel and T, have more years on me, but I've been around long enough now. I think maybe 7 years, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that.
I was looking at that.
I find that there are quite a few plays. I want to say maybe 50% of the plays are between the 40s. And I think if you allow a quarterback an option to run, you're giving too much of an advantage to the offense. Again, there's nothing wrong with offense if we want higher scores. But I kind of like the defensive struggles and the defensive strategy that happens. And I think allowing a quarterback who drops back to pass a chance to run, no matter how much time has passed, would just open up those first downs and those offensive opportunities too much so. And like Darren said, why mess with what's working? But that's just my personal preference.
Fair enough. I mean, I always like that idea because since we have one defensive lineman drop back into coverage, I mean, essentially he'll be used as a QB spy.
You're saying only in an 8-on-8 game?
Yeah, only 8-on-8s.
Okay.
That's because it was the argument was to kind of offset the argument for having an eligible receiver, a fourth, receiver. So I was saying instead of that, let's just have the QB run.
That's actually interesting because I did find last week that the quarterbacks, and I don't know if it's coincidence or it's a result of the dropping back of the linemen, where there's ultimately either a double team or a zone coverage across the middle of the field that makes it more difficult for a quarterback to complete a pass. We had a very low scoring game this week. I hope I'm not revealing something I'm not supposed to, but it was 3 1/3 to 2, the final score. We generally see scores up in the 6 or 7s or 8s most weeks, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we didn't see that. Now the snow was in effect, the cold temperatures, but I think that fourth lineman having the ability to drop makes it really hard for a quarterback to see openings. So you're right. Maybe that would be an opportunity for a quarterback to get out and run.
And I will say that last week was also low scoring, right? And the week before, right? When we had an 8-on-8, and that was also cold weather, which had something to do with it. But I think there's no doubt having that extra player either on the line rushing the quarterback or because we never dropped, or I guess we did occasionally. Gary would drop back, but our Omar or someone would drop back, but we didn't really double anyone like we did the previous week. But I think that does it makes it tougher. It was tough. It was tough sledding, I think, all around for the offense.
Unintended. Nice.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we should go. I think it's something to consider. Maybe next time we have an 8-on-8 game, maybe we'll try it. One QB run per 4 downs and see what happens.
I know
he's warming up to it, T. He's
a little bit.
I know that football is not the same sport as baseball. And when you're a purist in baseball, you want to see nothing change because the statistics are so important and so relevant to the story that baseball has told over decades. Football changes its rules every year, but there's something so sacrosanct, if that's the word, that's so special about our league because Darren has kept statistics for so long that allowing a quarterback to now run and add that statistic to that column just throws me off. Like, what will that do to all the rest of the stats? Will there have to be an asterisk now? I don't know.
You have rushing TDs as a stat, I think.
But you don't have quarterbacks. You don't have Darren with 12 rushing touchdowns during a season.
I wouldn't be getting that anyway. Don't you worry. It'd be
Nigel.
like maybe one.
And that's another reason to. I'm sorry to cut you off, Darren.
No.
But that's another reason I was thinking about implementing it because out of the top 4 or 5 QBs we have in our league, I mean, they're not going to take off for 60, 70 yard TDs every play. They might pick up important first downs here and there. But I think that's another reason that it'll work. We don't have a Lou. Let's say regular quarterback.
You're gonna get a game, T. You're gonna get it. I'm telling you. I think he's warming up.
Who's going to line up and make it obvious that he's running?
Exactly. And at that point, the defense can make their adjustments. So Yeah, I think it'll work. As opposed to the fourth eligible receiver.
Hey, look,
that's what I was saying.
I want to be someone known as someone open to innovation and experimentation. We added the special blitz this year. I think that's been a cool addition.
XFDL, baby.
XFDL, well done. And so I'm open to things. I want to do it gradually, and I don't want to do things just because. But if we keep getting these full crowds, again, when I think the weather's gets a little warmer, I want to go back to 7-7. I think it's a better game, and I don't think there's anything wrong with taking a little break on the sideline for a couple drives, filming the play, or getting a drink of water. I think that's fine, and so that's what I want to go back to. But in these cold weather days, I get no one wants to just stand around. So
what I want to go back to
Yeah.
is Sunday.
Yes.
And my dear friend Nigel, who I have a friendship with and a long-standing relationship with on the football field, lost his mind. I've never seen Nigel in this state before that he was in on Sunday. Nigel, can you take us through what was going on the field that caused you to have this emotional outburst and why it carried on for so long? I mean, take us through the play, take us through the call, take us through your psychology on that morning, because I've never seen that, Nigel.
So here's the thing. So we line up. It's a trip set left. Guy is guarding someone. I'm guarding Lou.
Oh, Ben. He's guarding Ben.
He's guarding Ben. It might have been a double set. I might not have the trips right, but anyway, it was Guy and Ben lined up, and I'm in front of Lou. And Lou says he's running a route, but upon further review, if you look at the video, Lou just takes out Guy immediately, just runs, lowers his shoulder. And I watched the play a couple times since then because we have it on the Google Drive. And you can tell by the start of the play, Lewis is eager to run this play.
He's like, hurry up.
He's like, hurry up. He's telling Gary to hurry up and snap the ball. And you know what I mean? Because he wants to wipe Guy out.
Let's go.
And then there is a sound that takes place. It's almost like you can hear the breath come out of Guy's lungs. It's like, whoop!
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1,000, 3,000, 1,000, 3,000, 1,000, 3,000, 3,000.
And you hear Guy go crashing down. And then the first thing, as soon as, the only sounds thereafter were like, whoa, because it was a shock to me because I'm in right there and I'm seeing this. And immediately Lewis goes to justify, it's totally legal. It's totally legal. You know what I mean? Now we're questioning the legality of it. My piece of it is, yes, if we're saying it's a legal play, which I'm sure we can find the technicality to justify it, but we can't pick and choose when we are going to say we're looking at it from a legal standpoint or we're looking at it from a safety standpoint. Because there are times in the past we've had certain plays that really pissed off a lot of players, right? And threatened their future participation in the league because of certain aggression by Lewis. And so my thing is, I was just calling out that play. If it was legal or not, fine. But don't say, okay, it worked for us to score a touchdown, so it's fine. But then later on, if somebody gets hurt, you got to have a side conversation with Lou to sort of calm him down. So here's what then happened thereafter. Obviously, the next play, Gary throws the interception.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Yeah, guys. Yeah, guys.
Right? And Guy, with the FDL gods, finding Guy to make that interception, which was poetic justice for me. So that's when I was just like, I felt vindicated, right? I felt like, yes, You know, even though the plays had really nothing to do with each other, it felt good just that we got the ball back, right? And so I then go, and Gary, I again go with my, you know, Rasheed Wallace.
Wallace gets the foul. You could have given it to Wallace or Kidd on the reach. And free throws now for Austin Rivers.
Ball don't lie, right? Because he came up with that because, you know, he's getting upset with the refs at certain points of the game, and then somehow the game would sort of justify itself with a turnover or a three-point play for Rasheed's team, and so he would come up with this thing, ball don't lie. So that's where I was screaming, and then Gary gets upset. He says, "Nigel, you're being an asshole," and so I'm saying, well, I'm being an asshole. So I completely diverted it because I didn't want my energy to go back to Gary because that's what I wasn't arguing with Gary. I was just arguing my initial point. And so I said, the ball is an asshole. Completely, like, take the energy out of me and Gary completely, right?
Let's go! I'm gonna fucking be an asshole. Let's go! The ball is a fucking asshole. Let's go! Fucking ball. Let's go! Fucking asshole. You fucking asshole.
I don't know which line is better. You motherfucking bitches, or the ball is an asshole.
I love it when Abraham comes back to the line saying, "Oh, because he's like, what's the line Darren used? You motherfucking bitch." And Nigel's like, "No. I'm talking to the ball."
Wait. What's the line? You motherfucking bitches. No, I'm not doing that. I'm talking to the ball.
Yeah, that's how the video ends. But I just want to say a couple things on this thing. So one is, we do this to Lou a lot, right? Because we hate when Lou guards at the line, and and because he can just shut you down, man. You can't get out of that 1 yard, bump and run. You're done if Lou's got you. So a lot of times, and this was a Brett designed play because it is legal within 1 yard, the other player can just hit the defender at 1 yard. It's totally legal. It's kind of a weird rule within the NFL, and we've been doing it for a long time. And Lou's often the recipient of this play because Lou likes to play tight, and it's the only way sometimes to free up your receivers. So I'm sure that's part of his enthusiasm for the play call, is now he gets to be on the other side of things. I look at the video, I did not see as violent of a hit as you were making it out to be. I thought it was, he kind of ran a little route, and he, he's loose, so it's gonna affect him, but it didn't seem overly aggressive in my view. It didn't lead to a touchdown. Ben had a nice gain on it, but and so that's my only call. It is legal. I didn't think it was as violent as you would say, and I appreciate the history of the ball don't lie, because I've used that for a long time. I didn't know it was a Rasheed Wallace thing. So
Hogan missed the first free throw.
You learn something new.
Good job, Nigel.
But I also thought,
let me just combat that. I think that what it ends up happening is, and Jay, I'm going to bring this back to you, is that it caused us to say, oh, if that's legal, then we need to do it the same way, right? And so, Darren, you got hit by Isaiah maybe the drive after.
Yes.
And you obviously took it and you say, oh, I'm not going to complain. You got hit. And I think we got a nice completion.
A big gain on it.
It was a big game. It was a Jay. It was a big game for Jay.
And then later on in that drive, we sort of set up the same kind of play. And what Lewis did was anticipate it and actually throw either Jay into Isaiah or Isaiah into Jay, which
it was Jay into Isaiah, and Isaiah went down like
now it's becoming but
like I said, this is a play
a retaliatory sort of
I don't know retaliatory.
It's now we're talking about somebody getting hurt because Isaiah essentially was laid out on the floor for a great time. And Jay, I remember right after that play, you came into the huddle and said, here's Jay. Nigel, we can't run that play anymore. We have to stop. Somebody's going to get hurt. And so that was my point. I was like, we have to curtail it. I know it's legal, and you don't want to make the Jordan rule specific to Lewis, but it number one, it has to look like some sort of a route that you're running. And to me, when I look at that video, I didn't see him run a route. I saw him like really go straight for a guy who's a great guy, and no pun intended, but you know, he didn't cause any issue with it. But to me, if it was me, I would have been pissed the fuck off.
Okay.
And that's another interesting point. That's another interesting point. If you're going to run those plays, it's not a problem running those plays. We see the Patriots do it time and time again, but at least attempt to run a route or make it look like you're running a route. I don't think, you know, running directly into somebody setting a basketball screen should be considered fair game.
It is. I'm just telling you, legally, we've done it to Lou all the time. And it does the trick. It keeps Lou sometimes from playing super tight, especially when someone's next to him. And it worked with me too. There were a lot of times I was going to play tight. I'm like, I think they have the play call where they're going to run into me. And I've already been humiliated by Isaiah's knocking me down. I'm not going to have this happen again. I don't think we want anyone to get hurt, but we block at the line. It's not like I don't think it's necessarily a play we should ban. But I do think we want to end.
I want to end this segment on just this one note for all of you to know. I went up to Guy after the play, and he was back. I don't know what he did. He like walked away maybe to just kind of gather himself, and we were back towards the south end zone. And I was like, "What's your sense of the play?" And he goes, "It was legal."
So, he's a competitor, of course. He's gonna say that.
I just think he felt like Lou
he had the last word. He picked off Gary on the next play. By the way, good time to, you know, we got to start talking about the game. A guy had another phenomenal game.
Yes.
That was one of 4 interceptions, most of them thrown by me, unfortunately. And he's just playing this, you know.
He's shredding it. He doesn't drop passes. He runs great routes. He has good ideas in the huddle. He knows how.
And what is he? 50? What is? He's 55, 54, something like that.
No, he's definitely older than us. He's
in his 50s. I know that. He's younger than Gary, but not by too much. So I mean, that's
incredible
inspiration, dude. I mean, because I think Gary is kind of what I.
Yeah, Gary's what, 56? Yeah, Gary is he's the ladder.
Gary's 60. He's
60.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so, and that's, you know, Gary's what I see my trajectory. I hope I go to Guy, but I know I'm going Gary. But
love you.
That's funny.
Little love in the Nigel house. Love it.
Yes.
The love over here.
So we talked about Guy, but unfortunately, Guy was on a losing team. He made an outstanding effort. And he kept us all in the game, and the energy was really great on the Nigel squad. But as far as the winning squad, Darren, what did you see from your vantage point as being the biggest advantage player-wise on your team?
Well, Lou had an impact. I mean, Lou got the 2 touchdowns in the game, and in a game where he only had 5 for both teams. You know, that's not insignificant. Ray had a big sack safety. I don't know if Nigel wants to talk about that at all, but that ended up being not just that, because we won by more than that, but all game, it was like you knew that there was this 2-score deficit, and it put some pressure on you guys and made it, I think, made it more comfortable for us. Gary was definitely the better quarterback of the game on our side. He did well. He threw a couple of picks, but generally, you know I should have caught at least one more touchdown from him. I thought he was throwing pretty good balls out there in a game that I thought it was really difficult to throw, accurate passes. So I think if I were to point out, the good players and the reason why we won, I'd say, defense had a big role, and Ray was a part of that because of that sack safety. We had some good coverage, and Lewis was a big part of that. He shut down whoever he was covering almost always that I remember, and he got the 2 touchdowns. So I don't know if we want to jump into MVP, but he's my vote for MVP, with Gary as honorable mention and Ray as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Is there anybody that stood out as the anti-MVP?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a very subtle reference.
Very subtle, right there. You see that, right? Uh-huh. Make sure me and Jay on opposite teams this week, Darren.
You're talking to a team builder, but I think Jay should be able to arrange that.
No, I know T wanted to avoid this subject, and we're just be a little playful with him. T would admit that he had one of his rougher games. Just that ball was tough to grab, man. It was cold, it was wet, it was slippery.
Oh man. It was definitely a rough game. I feel like I left a lot of plays on the field for our boys. And you know, after the first contested catch I made over Darren, I thought, okay, I was gonna have a nice, decent game. It was gonna start flowing. And then the snowballs just happened, you know, and it just seems like the ball just couldn't find me that day. There was two defensive plays where I had a chance to get a pick. You know, the first one was knocked away by Darren. Then the second one was going to fall into my arms and it was knocked away by our ball hawking safety, Nigel. So it's just like the ball was just avoiding me on Sundays. So, you know, I just got to take it on the chin. And
Didn't you have a play where you were in the end zone, south end zone, and you actually made a play at the ball, you deflected the pass, you tipped it to Nigel, who ended up intercepting into the end zone? We celebrated that. That was a nice play.
Yes, I had a 50-50 game. I had a horrible offensive game and a good defensive game. I'm getting pretty good at cornerback, so watch out for that, folks.
I like it. Darren seems to recall that Frank dropped the ball on the same play, but I don't remember that part of it.
No,
there was a different play where, Frank. That was a play where Frank did a post pattern and it hit his hands. Maybe it hit T after that, but and then it went to Nigel. But there was a play Frank. It wasn't an easy catch because we were talking about Frank should use his body, but I'm like, that play, he was reaching his hands out. He can't use his body on that play. And he wasn't able to corral it. And then I think that was the play that Nigel ended up intercepting. It might've gone from Frank to T to Nigel. But I remember the play that T was talking about where he had good coverage on me all day. I had trouble getting free. But the one play was when it was, I knocked it out when he had an interception. I thought pretty much in the grass, but there were, look, T's the first to admit it. He usually has one of the best hands in the league, and it wasn't happening that day. And I don't know what's conditions or what just is like mentality after you drop one. It does tend to stick in that mind.
Yeah, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. You try to make up for it. And
yes.
We always talk about eraser board, just just play and just try to start it over, but it's really hard to do, especially.
It really is, and especially at that particular point in the game, because I had just gotten free on the wheel route. All right, the previous play, Nigel slightly overthrew me. And I popped up. I said, "Oh, it's gonna be there all day. It's gonna be there all day. Let's go back to it, Nigel." The very next play, we went back to it, and that was a momentum shifter. I think we get that early score, we get early momentum. Things start rolling a little better, and that's why I feel like it just left plays out there, and it just sucks. It just sucks.
Yeah. And I was beat like a rented mule on both of those both of those wheel routes. I was thanking God when that ball dropped. I was like,
if it makes you feel any better, I would want you on my squad each and every week.
That's right.
No doubt.
Because each and every week is not going to be like last Sunday.
That's true. Did you get a haircut, by the way, T?
Say it again.
Did you get a haircut?
Yeah. I mean, I have it like this all the time, but I'm always covered up on Sundays. So
okay.
All right. So, quick question: are we all in agreement that Lou gets the MVP nod for this week?
I have no problems with that.
Nice. All right. Well, congrats, Lou.
Well done, Lou. Well done.
All right, Darren. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No cause of controversy, but like I said, I think Lou's been so much better. Just in general, we've had those issues in the past. For the most part, maybe it's him getting a little bit older, a little bit more mellow. Maybe it's him actually taking in some of the, things we had. I will say that he was pissed at me on that Isaiah's play when I stopped the play. That you talked about earlier when Isaiah's went down, and I was like, okay. I mean, he literally went down. I called the play dead. I thought he was dead. I thought, he went down like he was shot.
He wasn't moving.
He was not moving. And then Ben intercepted the pass, and Lou was like on me. You don't stop the play I'm like, dude, the guy's on the ground. I don't want to get stepped on. I didn't, I wanted to and I felt good about my decision until like 5 seconds later. Isaiah
popped up too
pops up
fast.
like Lazarus, man. Like, I'm all right, baby. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I should have taken, Omar has done that a little bit sometimes. He goes down and then you're like, oh, he's done. And then he pops up and is okay.
Yeah, it runs in the genes, I guess.
Yeah, a little father-son trick they pulled on me there. But it's okay. I'd rather err on the side of humanity versus.
Do we have
Wait,
next week?
Yeah, I wanted to end the show with the rosters,
Sure. Let me pull them out.
and then we can do what we expect.
That's great. So we have another. Looks like going to be a full game.
Yeah,
We got off. Oh, Jay, you didn't RSVP? Are you in?
I know I'm out because I'm in Florida.
Okay,
Come on.
that's gonna suck.
All right.
He can't get his revenge on your little comment. So
Oh man, we gotta wait.
He was going to be on my team anyway.
no, we were gonna make that happen. All right. So I mean, I can't imagine a more T. You had a nice rivalry with Tommy. Remember Tommy
Oh,
and T? You had a good thing.
Oh, I would love to see him now. I couldn't match up with him one-on-one back then, but I would love to see him now.
Yeah,
Tommy
all
G
right. Well,
back?
I'll try and get Tommy G. I will say we have someone coming back after a few years absence this week.
Whoa.
I'm going to get to that in a second.
Can I say something about Tommy G? I was just watching a PBS documentary on Muhammad Ali,
Yeah.
and his mom was in it.
His mom is a famous poet.
She's
dude. I mean,
amazing.
she's there was I think my brother sent me an article from the Times
Right.
not too long ago. She was in
Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, cool woman.
Yeah.
What was that on? Muhammad Ali.
PBS.
PBS.
Yeah.
Look at you. Educational.
Sorry.
All right. So we got the three of us. We got Gary, we got Guy, we got Ryan, we got Primo, we got Alexi, we got Lewis, we got Fred. He's back. We got Chris back from his Puerto Rico vacation. We got Frank. We got Omar and Isaiah. And someone is in. He says he's 25 pounds heavier. He's got back and ankle issues. And I said, join the friggin' club. But Puneet. Remember
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Puneet Bhutar.
Coming in from New Jersey?
I assume he's still in Jersey. Before
Isn't
there
his
were
name Puneet Butter?
Puneet Butter. I assume
Like
that's
peanut
his
butter?
peanut butter. Yeah, I assume he does that for the plague. I assume it's Bhutar. Or I think that's more of the Indian Punjabi way of pronouncing. But I don't know. We'll talk that over with him. But before there were the Walrus brothers, we had the Jersey City boys. Remember, it was Puneet and Harmanjeet, and there were a couple of other players as well that came as the kind of Indian American crew from Jersey City, and they were great guys. But Puneet was the first of that crew, and he's going to play with us this weekend. Hopefully, he'll be there. So,
Hopefully, now.
So that's 15. So we got one spot left.
Wow.
I'm sure we'll fill it up. So we'll
any
see.
any chance we could get Harvey back out?
8 on 8. I'm starting that now.
Did we lose Ben and Abraham this week?
Abraham's definitely gone. He's done for the season. I think he was he's traveling. I think he's going to San Francisco and just moving around the globe. Ben, I don't know. I haven't heard from Ben. Ray, I expect to hear. Ray sometimes does later in the week. But Brett's out. He has a gig. You're out, Jay. But maybe you can get Rick again. That'd be nice to see Rick back out there. Someone to match with Lewis would be great.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's the setup. Any guesses on who's gonna have a big week?
I am putting my money on T-Eps to bounce back.
Nice.
I
love it. That's where you got to put the money. T doesn't have 2 bad weeks, man. It just doesn't have to.
It's T.
I like it. So a little pressure on you now too. But you're up for it.
Getting in your head already, man.
I know. That's bad.
It's I don't know which way. If I'm getting his head, I got to see what the teams are. If I'm on the other side, then I'm going to really play up this pressure line. If I'm not, I'm going to frame it in a positive manner. But I hope I'm the quarterback, and I'll definitely get the ball to you.
All right. So I'm talking about Darren.
I'm going to give a shout out because I love your choice in yourself. That shows just excellent confidence, and I think you're absolutely right. But since you chose yourself, I've got to choose someone differently. I'm going to go with my boy Pizza. I think Fred's going to come back and have himself a ball game. He felt a little bit just missing in action a couple of weeks ago, not really looked at too often, maybe not running great routes, whatever, just not totally there. I think he comes back. I think he has a good game this week.
Fred versus T. I mean, I think you might have to separate these two and have them see who emerges.
Yes,
at the top.
Okay.
I like
But
it.
you made a little bit of a face about Fred. Did he not play well?
No. He said I didn't because I was his quarterback, and he thought I did not look his way much. I threw one that was picked off by Rick in the end zone. That was to Fred. There were a couple plays where he was targeted, so I think he doesn't remember those. Maybe they haven't. But I'll admit, like Fred has had some really good games, and I should be more focused on him as a threat, as a receiver as well. So I'll be happy to have him on my team as well.
Amen. Right now.
Darren, you have a pick, or Nigel?
I'm gonna go with Nigel.
Fuego's going to be there, so it's going to be smelling naturally good once he arrives. The scent and the aroma is going to be amazing. So I think Fuego, coming from Puerto Rico, is going to light up the field.
Wow, another pun.
I like it, although I don't know. He's gonna. I mean, it depends on how he approaches the game pregame. You know what I'm saying? He's already coming in from a relaxed beach state. I don't think he needs the extra relaxation techniques he often engages in. But I'm gonna say Nigel, because like I said, like the heat that he brought this week, which is a little bit what I dealt with the week before. I think Nigel is getting a little tired of losing, which is part of the frustration, and I get it. And there's part of it, I'm sure, is like, Darren, you're getting too many fucking calls. I know he called me out on the inside the FDL. I love that little clip. I have no idea where that scene was from, but I liked it. And so I think he's gonna have a big week next week. So that's my pick.
I do want to add one thing, an anomaly as far as I'm concerned. Ryan did not have a stat last week.
Which is weird.
That is not going to happen again.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
That's not going to happen again. He will either have a sack or a touchdown or both, as far as I'm concerned.
He was so frustrated because literally I threw 4 interceptions. I'm pretty sure each and every one of them, he was an inch away from sacking me. And he was always like, why are you throwing a pick when you just give me a sack? And I'm like, yeah, that I probably should at that point.
He does. He's like, man, that was so close. I'm getting closer. Little comments in your head. It's so funny, man.
He was in the backfield a lot there. So yeah, I think that's a good pick too. Ryan ain't gonna be shut down just like T. So
yes.
Well, guys, that's pretty much all the time we've got. T, you want to sign us off?
It's been fun as usual, folks. Always enjoy these weekly gatherings. Stay tuned, stick around for another episode of Inside the FDL, because you just never know, your name might be called.
Never settle for less, never settle for best. Settle for best ever, then you beat your chest. And it goes hustle, flex, hustle, flex, hustle, flex, muscle. Who's next? It goes hustle, flex, hustle, flex, hustle, flex, muscle. Who's next? It goes hustle, flex, hustle, flex, hustle, flex, muscle. Who's next? It goes hustle, flex, hustle, flex, hustle, flex, muscle. Who's next? Don't sleep, open your eyes. I know it's getting harder and harder to visualize. In your head you hear the cries, it's better to quit and hide. You're the son of hope and faith and the definition of pride. So let's ride, let's get this paper. Cause I ain't stopping till I'm sitting on top of a skyscraper. Haters, move aside.